There is a job title that didn't exist 3 years ago, and that is prompt engineer. You've probably seen the headlines, something like 200 grand or 300 grand a year to talk to AI, the future of work, learn the secret word, get rich from there or something like this. You might have even seen courses, boot camps being hosted by all these AI gurus where, and these leading gurus as well, where they tell you they're selling you a 7 days program that is going to make you AI certified. It's actually a lie. Prompting is not a career, it is more like a tool. And knowing how to prompt is more like knowing how to type. It is more like knowing how to write as well. It is useful. But nobody is paying you 6 figures just because you can, hit the keys on the keyboard, basically. And it's more like understanding that the money is not in the prompts. The money is somewhere else entirely. Today, I'm going to show you exactly where that is. Today, I'm going to show you why prompting alone makes $0 and what you actually need to focus on if you want AI to make you real money. This is a lesson, most gurus skip because they know if you understand this, you stop buying their courses. 3 things in the next 10 minutes that I'm going to give you that you get to understand the math behind why AI multiplies what you're already, not what you wish you were. The specific positioning framework that I can give you that I know understand very well that this is the main thing that separates a $15 per hour freelancer from someone that makes about $5,000 in a project. And I'm also going to show you a live demo where I'm going to prove that this exists in real time using actual job posting online. If you're new here, I'm Jude. You can call me Nirvana. And for the last 4 years, built AI systems for agencies and startups, and also influence their clients and other business owners as an AI marketing automation specialist. This is the day 3 of the 5 layers of AI series, and I can assure you that if you stay stuck from the day 1 to day 60, for the next 60 days basically, you are going to move from foundation level of understanding AI to even building autonomous system. If you haven't watched day 1 and day 2 yet, you can go back. Day 1 talks about how to talk to AI, how to talk to the machine itself, and day 2 also talks about what exactly to feed it. But today, we're not talking about anything that matters concerning that, because by the end of this video, you are going to understand and know exactly why and which boring industries are really paying money for AI work right now. And you also have a clear plan to stop being an AI guy and start being, the AI specialist for a particular industry or a particular niche. And I'm sure that that's the shift to basically change everything. So let's get into it. I want you to remember one sentence from this entire video, and that is that prompting alone is worth nothing. AI doesn't make you valuable. AI multiplies what you already are. And you can see it as a way where if you don't bring something real to the table, the multiplier doesn't matter at all. So I'm showing you the maths here on how AI works. So you can think of your skills as a number on a scale of 0 to 10, where your core skill is your real world experience. That is, maybe what you know is about marketing or about sales or about operations or probably about a specific industry. You can consider AI as your multiplier. So right from even working with the layer 1 and layer 2 that you're going to see when you continue this series, which is all about prompting and automation skills, you're obviously going to learn it along the way through this series. Here is how the maths work exactly. If your core skill is a 5, you understand how a real estate agent gets his lead, and your AI skill is a 10, basically. So this is how this works. Here is how the math works. If your core skill is a 5, and let me say you understand how a real estate agent, for example, gets his leads. So your AI skills here is a 10 in this case. It means that you've understood what grounding is, what prompting is, what automation is, and you can see it as a 5 times 10 equals 50. So it means that you're 10 times more valuable than a normal marketer. that reaches out to real estate agents in the first place. But here's the trap. You can see that, and in this case, you have your AI skill, which means you are familiar with this. Probably you are going through this particular series with me, and you get to understand more about AI, and you have a 10 of 10. You can see that in this case, 0 times 10 equals 0. So what this means is that AI doesn't fix the gap in your business knowledge. It helps you produce nothing entirely. And it helps you do that faster with a better grammar when you're probably familiar with chatting, using ChatGPT, Gemini, and the rest. And that is why you notice that most people that learn ChatGPT, they learn prompting, in quotes, they learn using Gemini or Claude, they are probably still broke. They're still broke because one thing you need to see is that they multiplied a 0 by a 10, which still gives them the 0. If you are probably a beginner where you're familiar with a particular industry and you are just learning how to make use of AI very well, probably through this course as well, you can see that you probably start from a position as this. And if you're a specialist, which means you're familiar with a particular industry, or you know what they do there, you know how they talk, you know how they get their leads, you know how they communicate with their buyers, with their customers, and you learn how to build your AI skill from prompting, automations, and various other steps, you can get to see how valuable you are going to be at the top tier. Now, most people at the top tier around this, right from a 50, they are already on the top tier, which means that there's a possibility for them to grow better when it comes to using AI and getting better with their real world experience in that particular industry. So here is another way you see it. AI is an engine, it's more like an engine, and it's like an high performance engine. It's very fast, very powerful, and you can understand that an engine on its own is just more like an heavy piece of metal which is sitting on a garage floor. And to make the engine valuable, you have to bolt it into a car. In this game, I said here, in this game, you can get to see that the car is more like a specific business, and like you are trying to solve a specific business problem. And it is more like having the example I have here, a lawyer who needs to automate his document review, or more like a solar company that is losing leads because their intake is manual and it takes time basically. And you can also make use of this example, which is a dental clinic where receptionists are burning out on appointment confirmation. So these are the cars, because these are the problems they have. These are the business problems they have. And AI is more like the engine that powers this particular business. So you can assume that if you don't have a car in the first place, like probably you don't have a business, you don't have a heavy engine, or you just have a heavy engine and nowhere to even put it. So you can see the situation that you just give yourself in this case, which there is no problem that you want to fix using AI. That is why you are clueless on how to actually make money from AI in the first place. Let me show you where I learned this. When I started out a couple of years back, I used to call myself a digital marketer. I would help anyone in whichever niche I find on Facebook, on LinkedIn as well. I even used Twitter back in the days, and I'm going to look for lawyers. I'm going to, if I come across any crypto founder probably on a regular Tuesday, or probably a guy selling supplements online, because I remember doing something like this. And it's more like I was so busy, I was working, but I was getting paid like everyone else. I was reaching out as well because I sounded like everyone else. So the shift came when I stopped being this digital market, where I started picking something very specific. And that was when I started working on, systems for solar businesses. And I was also getting in touch with financial teams then, where I was running B2B sales operations for, various teams. And that was where change came in, because I didn't just walk into calls from that point saying, I know how to use ChatGPT, I know how to use AI to power their systems. I'm more like walking, saying things like, I can automate your lead intake so your sales team stops, wasting hours a day on manual data entry or things that are related to just specifying that problem, bringing that problem out. And more like I had to focus on that because the the thing that was about was not just only about AI, it was more about their problem and how AI was the engine that could actually solve their problem. So if you want to see it from the logic I gave you, I showed you initially, it's more like a solar business is the car and the logic behind their business is the car. Then immediately I come in and tell them, okay, I can use AI to automate their lead intake. I've put in the engine for the right car at that moment. And that was where the money started to change. Because it was not just a coincidence. I was not just coming to join their team. I was coming to solve a problem. And that became like a rule I picked up. So let me now give you this framework. Now, in this framework, there are two ways you can use to position yourself in the AI space. You can position yourself horizontally and vertically as well. So, an horizontal is what most people do, where you become an AI expert for everyone, every niche, every industry, and you work with anyone in this industry on any kind of project they bring in. While that sounds flexible, it is actually more like, it's like a death sentence for anybody building a business out there, because you never go deep enough into anything to actually learn real life problems here. You stay more like a generalist and you get paid like generalist as well. But if you see it in this case, where the vertical is the opposite, basically, you pick one boring industry, probably like plumbing, real estate, dental clinics, accountants, electricity, probably electrical contractors or insurance companies, and you decide to go deep. You learn how the industry actually makes money. You learn what they complain about. You learn their language. Then you bring AI into that particular world. At that point, you stop being an AI expert, in quotes, and you start being the AI specialist for an example, the law firm. You start, being the person that knows how to do lead intake guy for solar companies, or you are the automation partner for dental practices. Now, currently, I also operate in that particular area, which I set myself up as the AI guy also for founders, for startups as well, and for agencies looking to target this particular audience. That is what I am choosing. Now, in this case, I decided to narrow down the lane and I increase my rate as well. So it's more like the narrower the lane, the higher the rates I put out there to get paid. So if you see it this way, more like specialists are getting paid to solve a specific problem, and the problem I solve in my own niche is quite different from what other people solve in that particular niche. But if you are generalizing it, where you are going horizontal, you get to see yourself where you get paid to fill probably like a generic role. So in this case, you don't have a specific naming to the problem you are trying to solve. You are just going around their business, you're just touching every single thing. And in this case, you start seeing yourself getting paid like other people out there also get paid. So in this case, you can consider it as generalist gets paid to fill a general, more like a generic role. And you just have to pick a lane. You have to pick something. You have to focus on a particular lane and go narrower into it. I want to prove this to you with real numbers. So I'm going to go to Upwork right now. So I'm on Upwork right now, and you can see what is happening when I type something like, let me type AI, okay, AI prompting. AI prompting. Now, when you see how this works, when you look at the jobs here, the jobs offered here, you see that the kind of job they offer here, like $5, $500, which is okay, quite okay. And you see things like this, you get to understand even from the pricing alone. You can see that what they need is something that a lot of people are rushing because it feels like this is something they can handle easily. But this is more like a race because hundreds of people are looking for the same generic job. And this is what happened when you sell, prompting itself. You get paid so little where you don't get seen as an expert. You get seen as one of the many people that also do this. So in this case, they have options. You can see they have a lot of options and they keep paying something so little. But when you check something like, let's go for law firm AI, for example, you see they actually get paid quite better. They get paid quite better than those ones we've seen. And you can see something like this. You can look at right from here, it keeps increasing. From hourly payments, this is between 6 to 20 per hour, which is still quite small, but you can see the project's possibility starts increasing right from here. Because a single budget from a law firm company can even be as high as 7,500. We can see something like this, and that's because these companies are looking for someone who understands both their legal workflows and automations. So it's basically it is more like the same thing where it's the same skill underneath, but it's a completely different price tag. And the difference there is the first list is selling prompting, while this second list, this one I searched for, they are selling solutions. And it is because in this case, people want these specific people that could solve that specific problem as well for them. And in this case, you can see what they're looking for is solution. So if you can come up with a solution, you'll be able to get paid better than a lot of people out there. So we see from yesterday, all right, so this is quite good. So from what we saw just now, you can see that the client doesn't care that you can talk to ChatGPT. What they care about is more of, do you understand their problem and do you have the tools to fix it? This is more like the gap between being an AI or prompt engineer to actually solving solutions for these companies, because they see that anyone that reaches out to them right after the interview they have or probably a call, they get to understand more if this person has solved similar problems before or if this person is familiar with their industry. And that is more like the gap that you need to close between it. You need to close the gap of being a generalist, being a specialist that is going to solve a specific. So now I know what you're thinking. You might be feeling like, okay, you don't know anything about law firms, you don't know anything about solar, you don't know anything about these industries, and that is fine. You don't need to be an expert in one day. All you need to be is a researcher. There are three things that you can do tonight, right after in this video. The first one that I'm going to say is you can read manuals, you can focus on, you can pick out a lot of industries. You can, because basically every industry out there have documentations. You can go into trade publications, you can go into industry guides, you read them. And the second thing you do is you're going to find the complaints. More of what do these people complain about? To find something like this, you can go on Reddit, you can find a subreddit for your target industry, the industry you decide on going into. You can read about 50 posts from it. You can check the recurring complaints. That is a problem that keeps coming multiple times that people are talking about. And those kind of problems are the first things that I believe they are worth solving with AI. The third thing you do is you can more like you use this textbook method, which I explained about in day 2. You feed the AI with a law firm website. You can let it check through it, and you ask this AI, what is the most repetitive task that these people do every day? And from there on, you pick the textbook method, you feed everything at once. And in a matter of seconds, you can become very competent in that niche. And if you can focus on this in about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, you can be very focused on just researching on that industry and you get to understand how to sell yourself to people in that industry. Now, the main issue here is that most people never start. They keep learning AI, they keep seeing this trend, this hype outside there. They keep learning these things, these flashy YouTube edits that brings them in, and they're like, okay, this is probably the next big thing. No, it's not the next big thing, because what you keep doing there is you keep learning AI forever. You keep learning it because the idea of knowledge feels safer than committing to a particular task, to a particular industry, to a particular work, solving a particular problem, giving a particular solution to an industry. And that is what most people do. But, well, you might not be most people, right? Before I let you go for today, I want to leave you with the hardest question I'm going to ask so far in this 60 days series. And that is, if I take ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini today, all of them, if I took everything away and I throw everything, or There's just this thing that happens where they shut down AI forever. Gone. Which skill would you have that is going to be profitable for you, that a business owner is going to pay you for? Which skill are you going to sell? If you have an answer to this, that is more like that is your real foundation. That is what you have, where you take prompting, you take these AI automations and every other thing, you take it as a subordinate, because what you have is what you can bank on. But if your answer is nothing, then I can say that your job for tonight, after watching this video, is not to learn prompts, it's not to learn these new prompts or getting this new prompt from Twitter. You are seeing this particular thing that sounds very nice. No, your job is more on you to pick a particular industry, more like a boring industry, like the ones I've shown you, and start researching on it. You have to start researching, you pick articles, you get news out there, Reddit posts, like 5 to 10 Reddit posts. You can just find out what is the problem that keeps coming up every single time, that keeps recurring. When you pick that lane, you just focus on that particular work, and I'm sure that, yes, you can start something right from there. So one more thing before I go. If you really want to lock in to today's lesson and you want to just pick a particular thing you want to do, there's one video I'm going to attach to this. I'm probably going to attach it somewhere here. And it is a clip I got from Nirvana, and it's the topic is on specific knowledge. It's more like a conversation that reframed how I thought about my own career years ago. And Navarro explained why most skills are like a commodity, and why the skills that actually pay are the ones that can't be replaced, even by AI yet. And if you watch this video after this particular video, you get to understand everything I just said on a deeper level. It's just when you go in about 5 minutes into this video, you get to understand, there are more things concerning this. And I am pretty sure, you get to learn a lot from this kind of video. So you can check the link here, or probably you can take the recommendation here, and I'm going to attach it also in the description. You can watch it before you watch the next video, probably a day 4 video. Then you watch it before that. So tomorrow is day 4, and we get back into the technical work. I'm going to show you how to make AI think in steps this time around. And in this time, I'm going to show you something where I call the if-then logic, which are like conditions, decision making inside a single prompt, where you can add. This is where AI basically stops being a chatbot and starts behaving like a real assistant that knows what to do in different situations. But before any of that matters, finish today's pick a lane, dive in deeper, go narrower, and I'm going to see you on day 4. All right, peace.